Hey everybody, you're listening to Second Round Steals as we go through our 2015-2016 NBA team previews. Be sure to check out the rest of our previews, and don't forget to stay tuned with us for regular updates throughout the season.
We're back with our 2015-2016 NBA preview. Now we're going to be covering the Indiana Pacers.
Right, so the Indiana Pacers last year, everyone can remember there was obviously the devastating injury to Paul George. They finished just outside of the playoffs with the record 38-44.
And with their key additions, they had a pretty busy offseason. Whether it's all good or not, we have yet to see, but they added Monte Ellis, they signed Jordan Hill and Chase Budinger, they also got Tony Douglas, traded for Glenn Robinson III, and they drafted Miles Turner, Joseph Young, and Raheem Christmas.
Right, so then they also evened out with their losses. They lost their starting front court of the past, feels like forever now. Roy Hibbert and David West. Got rid of Lou Scola. Donald Sloan, Chris Copeland, C.J. Watson are also all off the team now.
Yeah, so they basically have a kind of new starting lineup, other than Paul George and George Hill.
Yeah, their starting lineup, get right into that. George Hill, obviously, is filling in that point guard spot. Ellis is going to take over the reins at starting shooting guard. This one is getting weird. Obviously, you've been keeping up with everything about Larry Bird wanting Paul George.
Larry Bird wants PG-13 to play power forward, but he doesn't want to.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen that later in the season. Obviously, that's not something they're going to start out with right away, even though they've been doing it in preseason, because I just don't think that would be the best way to acclimate George to it. I think he needs to work into it, sort of like how Carmelo Anthony worked into it 2 years ago. So I think they're going to be starting George off at small forward still. Their power forward spot is kind of wide open. They have longtime super sub of theirs, Ian Mahinmi. And then they also have Jordan Hill, who's not really a traditional center anymore because he has that mid-range jump shot, and he's not really too much of an interior presence. Exactly, but they don't really have anyone for that four spot. That's kind of why they want George to take it over. So, just because reliability, I went with Mahinmi as maybe their starting power forward. Just because he's earned it by now. Because, come on, the guy's been like clockwork every year of his career.
I feel like he's a little bit too slow for that.
If they want to make it fast, yeah, he is. But they don't really have any other options for their power forward. And then center, Miles Turner is going to be starting for them. Just because he proved he deserved a starting spot after Summer League. He really did. So, stat for this team, Charles, what do you have?
My stat was games started by Hibbert, West, Scola, Sloan, Copeland, and Watson last year. So altogether, they combined to start 232 total games. And all those guys are gone now. Hibbert, West, and Scola, they were major backcourt pieces. And Copeland and Watson were pretty good reserves as well. Sloan, too. But now the Pacers really have a completely different lineup, and they might be playing a completely different style, too. So it'll be interesting to see how Frank Vogel shifts his defense, shifts his offense to fit Monte Ellis, to fit Jordan Hill, to fit Miles Turner as well, and maybe even Paul George at the four. So it'll be an interesting season for them, and that could cause some issues at the beginning of the season, and they might not have that too hot of a start.
Yeah, my stat went similar for this year. Obviously, like you said, they're going to be changing their style. Vogel and Bird have both been saying they want to be more fast-paced. So, stat I'm looking out for this team for this season is points per game. They've ranked in the lower portion of the league for the past 5 years.
They were one of the slower teams in the NBA last year. Or like the past 3 or 4 years.
Exactly. So, to see them push the pace, obviously that's exactly what Ellis provides. So, yeah, defense is going to kind of take a step back, obviously, though it shouldn't be too bad because you still have, Hill and George in place, and Miles Turner doesn't look like he's going to be much of a slouch on defense. The only real spot that you got to worry about is the shooting guard spot. There should be a real big leap in the offensive end, though, which I'm kind of excited to see for this team. That's something we haven't seen, and I feel like George's attributes alone lend themselves to that kind of an offense. This could be a real big year for him.
It's his first full season back, and it's really weird to imagine that his last full season was almost his breakout year 2 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, that kind of did count as a breakout year because the year before that he was like good. He made the All-Star team, but it was kind of like, oh yeah.
He was a top 10 player in that 2013-2014 season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when it was also a little bit more forced, right? He was trying to figure out all of the different playmaking stuff.
Yeah.
So, what's your look for the big picture of this season?
I mean, it's really weird to see how far this team has changed in the past 2 years. Like 2 years ago, they had that really solid starting lineup with Hill, George, Stevenson, West, and Hibbert. But now they're almost a completely different team. They've got rid of 3 of those guys, and last year they got rid of Hibbert. He was basically forced out, and they got rid of West. So I'm really not sure where this team wants to go. I don't really see them being contenders, but they're going to have some competitive games, sheerly by Paul George being really exciting and really a dominant player, which we'll hopefully see this year. Monte Ellis is definitely a good addition, and he'll be a lot better than CJ Miles, who should be coming off the bench for them this year. But I'm not really sure with this team. They could be competing for the 8th seed, but that's probably their ceiling. And another thing to watch out for is Frank Vogel being on the hot seat. It's been a couple of years with him, and whether he adjusts to this team and adjusts to new players that are completely different from West and Hibbert, we have yet to see.
Yeah, I have a similar idea. You know, they're going to become a top team soon, I feel. Not this year, but I think they're on a very quick rebuilding path. The drafting of Turner was amazing for them, I feel. He's going to turn out to be one of the steals of the draft. And picking up Ellis over the offseason really kind of gave them that playmaker that this lineup has needed all of these years. You know, we saw George Hill try to stretch himself as a playmaker. That's just not him. He's a defender. He's a three-point shooter. He might attack the rim, but he's not a playmaker. Paul George has tried to be the playmaker, but it kind of got him into trouble. You know, it's not natural for him to make a ton of plays for the entire team. He'll get you 3 to 4 assists a night, but I don't think he's really comfortable in running the offense the entire game, which Ellis has proven he is. And also, it's just a match made in heaven between the two of them, having Ellis, who's never been much of a defender, being able to pair up with Hill, who can lock down any guard needed, and also George is right there behind them too.
Yeah, the only thing I worry about that front court or back court, whatever, is their size. Ellis and Hill aren't that tall, so if you're facing against some of the taller guards in the league, that could be a problem.
Yeah, but I think they're hoping to mitigate that just with their front court and then getting out and running. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I feel like that's what every team that employs Ellis tries to do, because he's never been the size of a shooting guard, but he's not a point guard.
Right.
Also, a potential move to the 4 for George could really hurt a lot of the Eastern Conference teams. If he's regularly out there speeding past all of these slower 4s, I feel like that could hurt a lot of people. Like other teams. I feel like that could give them a big boost if George ever wants to really commit to it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like he seemed pretty adamant against not playing before, but
it's weird.
LeBron did it, Carmelo did it, Draymond Green's a center, so
Chris Bosh is a center. Yeah, you know, yeah. I feel like he really should give it a shot because he's still young and he's still so athletic and fast, whereas some of these guys are losing a step and moving over spots. I feel like he could destroy some of the bigger players at the 4.
Yeah, for sure.
Defending might be another thing, but offensively, he would get points in bunches.
Mm-hmm. People forget that Paul George he's a legitimate 6'10", 6'11", but he's might not have bulky. The strength to do it.
Yeah.
But if he's playing against like the Kevin Durant at the 4,
exactly,
or other players, he should be fine.
Yeah, he essentially guards the 4 now. When he goes up against James, Melo, Durant, you know, like he's guarding modern 4s already. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens with that. You said that you only saw them going for an 8 seed. I gotta disagree. I think that they could be up in the top tiers of the East. if everything breaks right, obviously, there's that glaring hole at power forward that they need to figure out. There's a question of depth, but I just think that this starting lineup alone can get them up there. Maybe not to the Eastern Conference Finals, but I think it can get them into a higher seed, like a 5 or 6 seed.
Mm-hmm. I just don't think they're better than Milwaukee, or maybe even better than Detroit. I think or even Charlotte to an extent as well. They're almost the same tier, but maybe a little bit lower because they're lacking in some of that big man depth.
Yeah, and chemistry too. I guess, like you said before. I'm not sure. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for them, I guess. That's what it comes down to. So, with that said, excitement ratings. I bet we differed very much on these. For mine, I gave them a 7.5. Honestly, just seeing Paul George's full return, not just he comes out, takes 2 shots, everyone applauds, and then he gets wheeled back out. I want to see him give me a full season and back to every amazing thing he's done in his breakout year. Seeing Monta Ellis run along with him could be a lot of fun. Watching Turner become a shot-blocking menace and three-point shooter is going to be cool. I have a soft spot for young player development. And also Jordan Hill's dreads. Just watching Jordan Hill. That's always a laugher for me. I always enjoy it.
I have them at between a 2.5 and a 3. I see some of the reasons why you'd like this team, but other than outside of George and Ellis, there really isn't much to this team for me. I've never really been a big George Hill fan. I think he's okay. He's not too exciting. He's just solid.
Yeah.
You have, Jordan Hill, who's not really that great of a player. I'm looking forward to Miles Turner playing, and maybe even the return of the Red Rocket, Chase Budinger. But aside from that, this team doesn't really move anything for me. Joseph Young really killed it in Summer League this year, but he's a rookie and he might not even get that much time.
Yeah.
And I think he's the main young guy that I'm looking forward to seeing develop for them.
Yeah.
And having Frank Vogel too, the way that they've played these past couple of years hasn't really made them too exciting of a team.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that that's an overnight change, which I know is a bit much to ask, but
yeah.
You know what I think a little bit of it is too? Paul George and Monta Ellis have been staples of my fantasy teams past years. So I kind of have a love relationship for those two specifically. So seeing them on the same team kind of gets me all hot and bothered. So I guess what record do you see giving this team?
So I have them around same as last year, 38 and 44. Maybe even a little bit better, maybe 40 wins. Their max is probably 45 wins, but they could, barring if there's a major injury to Ellis or George Hill, they could go up to as little as 30 wins. And missing the playoffs and being a lottery team again.
Which I don't know if that would be such a bad thing for them. Obviously, there's the whole Vogel hot seat, but if you can get another player in the lottery, this could really help this team. I don't know.
Larry Bird might want to win.
That's true. No, exactly. I understand the want to win. I'm just saying, sort of how the Thunder lucked out and got a lotto pick in Cameron Payne when they're clearly contenders. It's just a very quick way to restock on talent. Yeah, I have them at 43 to 45 wins. I really think that they can push themselves up there to that middle tier. But again, that's hoping everyone stays healthy.
Right.
So I guess then on to social media for this team.
So, like I was saying when I was talking about how exciting this team is and how I kind of bashed George Hill, he's a blonde now. I mean, that's pretty exciting.
They have a lot more fun.
Yeah. And the Pacers also have these, Indiana Heritage jerseys, which are pretty cool as well. They look kind of like the Cavs jerseys, but it's interesting to see, some Pacers retro jerseys that aren't from Reggie Miller's time.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and how do you feel about Paul George wearing number 13 now? I mean, this is almost 2-year-old news, but PG-13. How about that nickname?
I think it was a great move by him. I'm pretty sure, they had Bill Simmons talking about that for a while before he did it, saying how he should have made it his number. And then Paul George kind of got there and was like, "Oh, well, maybe I should do it." I don't know what made him change his mind. I knew why he wore 24. just the
Kobe?
whole yeah, it was the
Obviously.
whole Kobe thing because he idolized Kobe. So I mean, I kind of like the transition. I feel like it's more like he's coming into his own now, or he wants to. Like that's what he's trying to say, and it also gives him a sick nickname.
I mean, I want him to be the rated R superstar, but PG-13 is okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe James Harden's the rated R superstar.
We gotta make sure that they keep the number ones going. CP3, D12, it's dying.
CB4? Oh, it's too late. Chris Bosh #1 now.
All right.
Mid-dozens nicknames.
I'm thinking, hold on. Oh, Miles Turner also, just related social media. Miles Turner making impacts off the court already in Indiana. How do you feel about that? He's surprising Make-A-Wish Foundation with visits to play kids in video games.
I mean, that's awesome. That's great for Miles Turner and great for him, like, really bonding with the community. Like, most of the time, you see, like, rookies saying how awesome it is or how scary it is to be living on your own for the first time, but to see Miles Turner reaching out to the community and speaking with kids that really need it and kids that want some excitement in their life, want a bright spot in what could be a dark time in their life. Miles Turner is really doing a great job.
Yeah, I think that's actually amazing. Like, he truly did become a great part of the team. He's already blending into the culture on and off the court.
So he's definitely not Lance Stevenson, and that's definitely a step up.
Yeah. Who knows? All right. Anything else for this team?
Not really. Larry Bird.
Larry Bird.
Larry Bird.
All right. I guess that's it then. See you guys next time.
Hey, thanks for listening to Second Round Steals, our NBA podcast. Please be sure to check out the rest of our 2015-2016 NBA team previews, and stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of different podcasts, probably weekly, and we'll be there every step of the way covering all the drama, great games, great plays, and highlights of the NBA season. So please be sure to check us out on iTunes, on SoundCloud, and on YouTube for your podcast needs. And stay tuned for more content outside of podcasts, like videos and articles, and even probably live discussions. Thanks for listening.